Good morning and good afternoon to wherever you're joining us from. Thank you so much for taking the time to attend this great webinar today. The webinar today is for Egrabber cold call calling is going to be presented by Pete Ekstrom. He's our special guest speaker today. And along with Pete, we'll also have Clinton Mark Rosario. Now, Clinton is one of the chief architects of Egrabber, and he's designed quite a few tools for Egrabber. Pete is the president and CEO of Deal Builders Inc. He's worked with a lot of salespeople and other key professionals, helping them out. So he's going to be the key speaker today. The voice that you're hearing me, that's me, Rich Kumar. I've been working with Egrabber for quite some time now, and I've been helping a lot of people get the programs up and running for Egrabber. So that's a quick intro about ourselves, and let's begin this webinar. Okay, take it away, guys.
Good morning, everyone. This is Clinton over here. So if you're joining in this webinar right now, and we hope your speakers are good, we hope your questions are ready. If you tweet about us, you can use those handles, you can follow us, you can talk to us, post a question on Twitter, or you can post some questions or on your GoToMeeting as well, so your GoToWebinar chat box. You should see the chat box somewhere on the top left or the top right-hand corner of your screen. So there'll be a box over there. You can type in your questions, and we'll take them towards the end of the webinar, and we'll move ahead from there. So those are the handles if you'd like to tweet about, okay? And you'll see those handles in pretty much every slide. So what are we going to learn today? What are we doing this nice day? We're going to be talking about cold calls. Yes, there are lots of debates on, is the cold call dead? Is a cold call not dead? Well, if it's dying, it's having a hard time dying. The fact is, the cold call is one of the most effective tactics to reach some people, some organizations, some kinds of decision makers. And Pete Ekstrom is going to tell you how to do that. Pete, say hi.
Hi. Pete Ekstrom here. Happy to be here. Glad you could join.
Great, Pete. So Pete will be joining in from the Fix Your Broken cold call onwards, and he'll be taking you through a lot of stuff. Okay, but before I begin, okay, before I hand over the controls to Pete Ekstrom, I'm going to be taking a short while to lay the stage for you to start making your cold call. See, before you start your cold call, here are a few steps that you typically go through. I hope you know your prospect by now. I hope you know who your decision maker is, who you want to sell to, who you want to talk to. And once you know them, we hope that you have the email ID and the phone number to get across to them. Well, email ID if you want to drop an email, if you end up in a voicemail, that's a good way to do things. And if you don't have an email and a phone number, I'm going to show you in a short while how you can get that email address and phone number. So once you go ahead, once you make that initial call, touch base with them, or get past the gatekeeper, or leave that fantastic voicemail, okay, then you can execute a follow-up strategy and move on from there. But remember, before you make that call, you need some intelligence if you want to strike rapport. And Pete will tell you you have 10 seconds to impress your guy on the other side or the lady on the other side. Else, you're not going to make that sale. You're not going to finish your prospecting successfully. So I'm going to show you very quickly how you can get that intelligence and move ahead from there. Okay, right. So I'm going to take a short while to talk about something called the Account Researcher. Okay, that's a software which we guys at Egrabber make, and we made it because because sales reps, because audience, because just like you, a lot of them, once you're prospecting, if you're prospecting, you end up at this page. I mean, you're doing a LinkedIn prospecting or prospecting on some other social network. I'm just using LinkedIn because that's something that everyone's familiar with. And you know the perfect a search to do, and you're so excited at the stage because yes, you found the decision maker that you want to speak to. You know their name, you know the title, great. Well, that's where the excitement stops for most people, because from there you have to go find out what's the email address and the phone number. Well, you can try setting a LinkedIn invite for those of you who like doing that. The problem with LinkedIn invites, and this is true even if you have the premium account, LinkedIn premium accounts, sometimes, I mean, have you really felt that some of your LinkedIn invites go to a black hole? I mean, no one's replying on the other side? Well, that's probably because you're sending it from your profile and it says you're from sales, and think of the person on the other side, think of the decision maker on the other side. He's looking at the invite and going, if I respond to this, or if I say connect, I'm going to be sold on something. I don't want to be sold on something. Do not connect. Well, okay, that's if he's looking at the LinkedIn invite. But a lot of people, the first thing that they do in the morning, look at you, what is the first thing that you do in the morning? You check your email. You check your voicemail. You don't check your LinkedIn inbox. That's something for maybe the end of the day, sometimes maybe on the weekend. Maybe it's just too late for that. So if you're prospecting, that just might be too late to meet your quota. So you're looking for the email address and the phone number, because even in that LinkedIn invite, the LinkedIn email, you can't put a link, you can't put a, if you have a video, if you have a testimony, you can't put that thing inside a LinkedIn invite. But you could do it in an email, okay? So you need email, you need phone number, and you need to go ahead from there. Well, at this point of time, you might be wondering, okay, how do I get an email address and phone number? Yeah, you can look it up on the internet. If you're lucky to have something like Hoover's or Zoom Info, you can try that, but you might notice you may not get a lot of email addresses out there, especially for people who have shifted jobs, and job alerts is a great thing. So if they've shifted to a new company, guess what? Zoom Info and Hoover's and the other databases out there are not going to have that person's new email address. So what do you do? So if you're here and you're stuck, you need an email address and phone number, what do you do? So that's where we came in and we said, okay, what if I give you a single button click? And what if I give you this? From a name of the company, wherever it is, if I give you a software, you can click a button and get a full business card with a name, a company, an email address, and a phone number, which you could reach out to them. Wouldn't that be great? And what if I give you social links to some of their, so like Twitter, Facebook? Would that be enough for you to reach out to them, to maybe read about them, gain valuable intelligence? Okay, wouldn't that be great? A name and a company from anywhere, click that and get a business card. That's what the Account Researcher software is, and what we did is we designed it so that we designed it for salespeople so that you can take a name and a company from anywhere and get that email address and the phone number. So how do we get this? From where do we get this? And how is this name? How is email address and phone number different from a list vendor like a Hoover's or a Zoom Info? Well, we take the name of the company and then we do what a lot of expert prospectors do. We do that automatically. The software takes the name of the company and researches it for you on the internet in less than 60 seconds. Because we know if doing manual prospecting, you're taking anything between 10 and 15 minutes to get an email address when you should be on the phone talking to that person. So we built the software so you can click a button and the software knows where to find stuff on the internet. It goes out there, it does all searching for you so you don't have to, and it finds it from the corners of the internet and shows you a discovery trail of where exactly you found it on the internet. And lo and behold, you can actually have a document, maybe a PDF that they presented at some place, and that could be an interview. Okay, good stuff to read just before you catch on the call with them. And if we don't find the email address and phone number, we look at other email addresses of colleagues who are there on the internet, and we tell you this is most probably this person's email address. So take that and give the person try. You can send the person an email or give the person a call on the phone number that we're able to find. How accurate are we in this whole thing? Yeah, there's a software who's sitting on your desktop. It's doing all the research. How accurate is the software? Well, if there's an email address and a phone number on the internet, we are 95% plus chance we're going to find that thing. And if we're projecting an email address, if you're figuring out, if you're giving an educated guess and saying, you know what, based on their colleagues, first name dot last name, this should be the email address of that person, well, we're 3 times as good. And just to prove a point, we went ahead and did a page on the whole thing. Okay, so so if you're here on LinkedIn and you're prospecting, remember the account researcher. Press a button, get a name, email address, and a phone number that you can use. Okay, and before I hand off to Pete, okay, here's another thing. What if you just start off researching a company? What if your first starting point is just a list of accounts which you need to prospect? Well, we built something to help you too. So you can put in the company name and press a single button and say, I'm looking for the CEO or the CTO or the VP of sales. You name it, you put in the title, press another button, and bang, the software makes a list for you, does the research online on the company's website. So if someone got promoted yesterday, well, the software can bring it up for you in less than 60 seconds, very easy to use, very handy, and it'll also show you where it got the information in the discovery trail. Useful if you want to start calling out that company. I was talking to you about intelligence that you need before the call. So this is typically what you would look at, the various places that you look at to get actionable intelligence just before you do the call. And Pete's going to show you in a short while how you can use that information to connect the prospect in 10 seconds or less. So what we did is we just made the whole researching process very easy. You press another button and you get all this business card of company information, easy at your disposal, and good enough stuff to read, and like details like the finance of the company, what's trending about the company, other employees you can find, maybe you have a friend in that company who can refer you there, stuff like that. So that's account researcher for you. And the good news is you can take names and companies from anywhere and find a business email and a phone number that you can use. And once you have all that information, you can put it there in your Salesforce or whatever software it is you use. And then once it's in your CRM, okay, the great thing is you can start calling out, and then you can start using the techniques that Pete's going to talk to you about right now. So Pete, here's the broken iPhone, and here's how you're going to fix the broken cold call. Take it away.
Hello, Rich, and hello, everybody. Thanks for coming today, and good morning to wherever you are, and for some of you, good afternoon, and happy Wednesday. I'm Pete Ekstrom, and I make cold calls for a living, and what was I thinking 12 years ago when I decided to quit my quota-carrying sales job and then hire myself out as a service to make calls to prospects. But I learned how to fish early on in my career, and it was just a natural thing for me to do. So to this day, I, on a regular basis, earn my living making outbound calls to prospects and following up on prospects and handling the front end of the sales cycle for my clients. And several years ago, I started recording my calls. I don't know if you record your calls, but I highly suggest, because you can learn something from the sound of your voice as you speak with prospects on the phone. It's a little out of the ordinary, I guess, to carry a pocket recorder with you on a sales call, although I have done that many years ago, but most everything I do every day is over the phone. So I recorded the calls several years ago, and I was just curious. I was running into mounted resistance from prospects. It seemed that what had served me so well for well over 20 years in my career as far as a call script and so on and so forth, I was running into trouble early. In other words, before I really got started on a sales call to a prospect, the prospect was holding up their hands and kind of waving me off the flight deck. They had a flurry of objections, and just from the sound of their voice, I could tell that there was a mounted resistance on the other end of the phone. So naturally, as I'm sure you can relate to, I began to feel pressure. And with pressure, I began to sell harder. And that means talking faster and talking louder, using rambling run-on sentences, all in an effort to persuade and convince my prospect to see the value of what I was selling. But I tell you, when you get into quicksand, the more you try to fight your way out of that quicksand, the faster you sink, and that's what I was going through. I was sinking quickly on the sales calls, cold calls that I was making to prospects. So I was in pursuit of a solution, and that's when I began to record my calls. And it was upon playing back the calls and listening to how I sounded on the phone that I recognized what I had just mentioned to you before, that I just, under pressure, I began to stutter or stammer over my words. I couldn't put two words together in a sentence, and it was awful. So the physical evidence proved that I needed to change up what it was that I was saying to prospects in the opening seconds of conversation. But I came to a realization that my cold call, that had served me so well for so many years, was broken. It was busted, and something needed to be fixed. In essence, I was riding around with a flat tire, and it was no wonder I couldn't get any traction on the road, and I was crashing and spinning out, and just an overall sense of lack of control. So I knew something was broken, and I needed to do something about it quickly, because I'm in the business of making calls and scheduling sales appointments, and if I don't do that, my clients will fire me and perish the thought. So I wanted to find a quick fix. So I went in pursuit of a reason. Why is my cold call broken? Why am I unable, in the opening seconds of conversation, to really drive conversation, grab attention, and to begin speaking with prospects in a way that put me in a sense of control over my wits, my course and direction? So we are in, and this is my analysis, the attention economy, okay? You are vying for the attention of every human being you come in contact with, not just prospects, but everybody. All right, do you know anybody that's not busy today, that's got bandwidth to spare to pay attention? I don't. And I think it's because of the mountain of information that we have at our disposal off of our cell phones, off our iPads, texting, tweeting, email, you name it. All sorts of information are coming at us. And we have to make decisions on how to respond to that information, okay? So anything that is in high demand, like attention, and in short supply becomes valuable. And people are under pressure because of the amount of information that we are facing in the information age, that they literally have to filter out anything that's a threat to their attention. And people, and especially with prospects, are treating their attention as if it was an asset, like money. So attention has actually become the new currency of business. And people don't like to have their attention stolen. So when you speak on the phone to a prospect and use rambling sentences that don't get to the point, or if the tone of your voice sounds like a salesperson, chances are you're going to trigger the attention filter that all human beings have, but we're talking about prospects here. The attention filter is tripped very easily. It's a hair trigger event. As soon as they sense that the sales pitch is on, they begin to mount a resistance of your call, and you know that you have triggered the attention filter when you start getting objections from your prospects. All right, we already have a supplier. We're okay in that area. We're not interested. Do you have any information you can send me? And so on. All right. Once you have tripped the attention filter or turned off the attention of your prospect, you're really in trouble. You've got an uphill battle. You are in quicksand. And it certainly doesn't make any sense to begin talking faster and trying to persuade and convince people with featured benefit statements and value propositions. The more you talk, the deeper in the quicksand you get. So what we need to take into account in today's attention economy is that the elevator pitch that we loved for so long is really too big of a story to share with our prospects. And as a result, what you thought would be a good elevator pitch or a script. Now, let me just pause here. Take a look at the script that you are now using to make outbound sales calls to your prospects. It reads like a book, I'm sure. I see dozens and dozens every day that come across my desk through people that are looking for an analysis of their cold call script. And I don't know how they get past the first paragraph, to be honest with you, before they run into that attention filter. The prospect is just sick and tired of hearing the same elevator pitch. It doesn't matter what you're selling. Doesn't matter what company you're working for. They all sound the same. And when you look at the text that the company has put together for you, it's a mouthful. And the prospect is on to you right away that a sales pitch is coming at them, and then they have to brace themselves, because you have to understand that prospects aren't, even though some of them could be pretty hard-edged, they have difficulty saying no, all right? There's something in that cold heart of theirs that says, don't be rude to salespeople. Some will hang up, I know, but most prospects are looking for an excuse, all right? They need a little help. Your call script or the elevator pitch in the opening seconds of the call is giving the prospect every reason they need to disengage. And that's a problem, because then the chase is on, and the more you try to wheel them back in and get their attention, the fight is on, and then your sales call can turn into a debate. Have you ever had that? Have you ever had a prospect give you an objection, and then you try to overcome the objection with a third-party client reference or a recent press release event or something like that, and basically the prospect will challenge you on it. Once your sales call gets into a debate, your cold call is broken, it's busted, and it's probably beyond repair. So you need to keep in mind that how you speak to people today, especially in the 21st century, with people so busy, so inattentive, and such a narrow bandwidth of attention, and considering the attention filter, that you've really got to thread the needle in conversation with prospects over the telephone in the 21st century, and that requires you to have a command of the English language, your grammar and vocabulary, most importantly, your speech delivery in 5 to 10 seconds. You don't have 30 seconds in an elevator with a prospect anymore. Maybe back in 1992, back in the 80s, and certainly the benefit of the doubt came your way in the 70s, but our society has advanced to the point where they are very unwilling to give attention to people who are not interesting, who don't sound attention-worthy. So the best way to get a prospect's attention in the 21st century is to take that big, fat elevator pitch, that long script that you're reading off of in front of you as you make your calls, and thread it through the eye of a needle. You've got to get to the point quickly, okay? Time is running out. Let me give you another news flash. Attention evaporates at room temperature. It really does. So in order to hook, or may I go as far as to say stab attention, okay, and not let it escape your grasp, you've got to break down your dialogue and start learning how to sell more by saying less, okay? Less is best, and I'm sure you've heard that cliche phrase before. But in today's society, with how people are interpreting information and communicated dialogue coming in their direction, you've got to spoon-feed prospects words and phrases, okay, that are going to sound interesting, that are going to ring the chimes, ring the bell, turn their head in your direction. They can't do it if the information coming out of your mouth is similar to water out of a fire hydrant, so we got to break it up a little bit. Now, to prove my point, if you take a look at the impact that Twitter has had on the internet communications present day, 140 characters says a lot. That was the whole idea behind it. Little text messages that you can get out in 140 characters and get your message across to a loyal or growing market audience. Same thing with texting, right? Most people prefer to text because it's a lot easier to say goodbye on a text than it is to try to get off the phone with somebody who's chewing your ear off, right? So, texting very popular. Easy to disengage and get on to the next call or get on with whatever it is you have to do. And that's what people are doing right now. They got their eye on the next move, and not really giving you 100% of their undivided attention. So to compensate and overcome this problem, box your dialogue. Now what I have here is a little tray, okay? I'm going to take you back in time. Maybe I'm dating myself, but TV dinners, okay? Used to separate the meatloaf or the chicken from the peas and the carrots and the mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese, and then you have the peach cobbler dessert, okay? You got 5 compartments here. You got a meat, a vegetable, and a starch, right? So I look at dialogue and spoon-feeding prospects with the following analogy, that you need to separate the particular chapters of conversation in the introduction of yourself that you make to prospects in the opening seconds of the call. And essentially, when you spoon-feed prospects information, you're tweeting them, okay? That's what you're doing. You're texting them, but you're doing it in a verbal communications sort of way, right? So you want to take a tweet, and then you want to verbalize that using as few words as possible for maximum effect, because prospects can understand a few words, okay? They can't understand, nor are they willing to take the time to understand the big picture, which salespeople love to talk about the company and the product and its successes and so on and so forth. So we want to find out, basically, if we're talking to the right person. First of all, we have to negotiate for the prospect's attention. You can't just assume that people are paying attention when they pick up the telephone or you run into them at a networking meeting. You know, you've got to get their attention. You've got to negotiate for the time it takes to explain your call. Then you've got to get to the point, as few words as possible, and explain the purpose behind the call. The best explanation that works is, you know, I solved the following problem for the following people for the following reason, right? Get to the point. Make sure you're talking to the right person, and most importantly, if you are talking to the right person and they have a problem that they're committed to solving and have the wherewithal to solve that problem, now you are negotiating for the undivided attention of your prospect as a scheduled sales appointment on your calendar. That must be negotiated. The purpose of the call used to be the objective to get the appointment under any circumstances. All right, you can do that, but chances are you'll show up, the prospect won't, right? Or they don't remember the call. You ever have that problem? I hate no-shows. So today what we want to do is we want to control the process without certainly putting pressure on the prospect, right? We don't want to force the issue, but we want to negotiate for a little attention to explain our call, find out if we're talking to the right person, negotiate for attention if we are in a position to solve a problem, and then last but not least, to schedule a sales appointment to the calendar. So this way your call comes expected. That's really the big problem. That's probably why your cold call is broken, is because prospects just aren't expecting your call, right? So now what we want to do is we want to take a small step first to take a giant leap later, negotiating up front for the attention of the prospect, getting that commitment on the calendar, and essentially this is what it looks like. When I built the Gold Call script to help solve my problems with cold calling, I knew that I could not afford to stay on a telephone call to a prospect for 25 minutes, overcoming their objections and painting my competition in a bad light and getting into a debate. I don't have time. I've got to make calls, and so do you. And time is running out, and we've got to make our numbers. So in lieu of that, I increased the amount of dials, but I wanted to chop up the dialogue. So what we have here is an inverted triangle that really is the analogy, a diagram that I use to explain the anatomy of conversation today in the 21st century, okay? So as we start top down, right, we go from a broad base, right, general discussion, rapport building and bonding and that sort of stuff, and preliminary attention getting, and getting to a point at the bottom where we reach a conclusion. Every conversation that you have with a prospect should result in an endpoint of decision. Yes or no is desirous. Think it over, send me information, or whatever falls outside the box. But with the Gold Call, you are in control of the call because you've calibrated your dialogue. You have negotiated for the time it takes to explain the call and the icebreaker. The lemonade statement is a simple statement of fact, okay, about what problem you solve, for who, and why. And I call it lemonade because everything in business should be described to prospects like lemonade, which, by definition, is a cold drink sold to thirsty people. And then the question becomes whether or not you like lemonade, or most importantly, whether or not you're thirsty. And we get into that with a focus question. How much focus does your prospect have on renewing their current property and casualty insurance, planning for college, trying to create a secured financial future, trying to solve a problem in the back office with regards to accounts payable workflow. All of this stuff, you've got to attach your prospect to the problem you solve. Once you can affix the problem to the prospect you're calling, now you've come to another intersection where it's green light, right? And you can segue effortlessly, and I do mean effortlessly. What's the harm with asking someone whether or not they'd be willing to give you more of their attention if you were in a position to solve a problem? And once you've identified the problem and attached it to the prospect you're calling in the focus question, then it's very easy to ask for more of the prospect's attention at a convenient time. And once you have successfully negotiated for attention, and by the way, the prospect, when you ask the attention question properly, you phrase it and speak it properly, the prospect closes the appointment. And if you've been to my website, thegoldcall.com, I have actually recorded calls with prospects using the Gold Call script outline to converse with my prospects and get through these steps in the call. So you can actually hear me talking to a real prospect. And essentially, you will hear that the prospect closes the appointment themselves with a properly phrased and worded attention question. And then we get into scheduling it, so it's just a matter of when. When will I have more of your attention? And the questions such as, are you looking at your calendar? Do you have your calendar in front of you? How does next Tuesday or Thursday sound? Suppose I drop by on Tuesday, so on and so forth. You know how to do that. You could read that in any sales training book anywhere, okay? But essentially what we have is a orderly syntax of easy flowing dialogue that's less pressure for you because it's not so many words. It's all soundbite. The questions are structured in a way that gets you, the prospect, to respond to you. When you get the prospect talking, you can work off their responses. When you tell them how good you are and the value of your product, then you're giving them the responses, the information they need to object. And that triggers the attention filter. And that's why you got such a fight on your hands with these prospects, because they have little tolerance for another boring conversation. So, in closing, I would highly recommend, if you are committed to prospecting and advancing your career and earning more money, but most importantly, being in control of your destiny, having a command over your thoughts and words in the form of delivered speech will empower you in ways you never thought possible. You will have the ability to put one foot in front of the other and go from one point to another in the shortest distance, which is a straight line. So what I've done, I have gold calls for every walk of life in sales. I've got gold calls for real estate salespeople, gold calls for technology salespeople, gold calls for financial advisors, trying to build your book of business or increase the share of wallet you get from clients now. I've got a gold call for that. And I've got a gold call for insurance salespeople as well. And again, these are all recorded calls with live prospects using the gold call script to instantly capture their attention and drive conversation to an end point of decision. Prospecting made easy. To make any call to a prospect that isn't gold just doesn't make sense in the 21st century. You can read more about my programs and my products and my call recordings and blog and so on and so forth by visiting thegoldcallscript.com. That's thegoldcallscript.com. If you're interested in a free gold call script analysis, you can just fill out the form there on the home page, and that will come to me, and I look forward to taking a look at that script you use now, and let's see what we might do to turn your cold call into a gold call. Thanks very much. Rich, back to you.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you very much. So that brings us to the end of this presentation, okay? And that's the agenda, and hope you've got, you'll learn how to do your cold call and your go call. Do make a visit to Pete's website, and this is the Egrabber software again that we were talking about that can help you get that email address and the phone number so that you can make your cold call and perhaps finish a sale. For those who are attending this webinar, okay, from the Egrabber side, okay, here's a special offer from us. This software, this account researcher software, is typically $80 a month, and we're giving this at a discounted rate until a short while. So you can take that, and you can there's a promo code which you can use on the website. Okay, and I'm going to be showing you the website in a short while from now. It's got a store on an Egrabber store, so you can purchase your Egrabber software from there using that code DBAR25. That's on a monthly basis. And if you're going for a complete year, well, year license, that's 2 months off the. We give you a price on that. And the nice thing is, if you're attending this webinar, you can use another promo code which is there and get $100 off over there. Plus, we throw in a free email and phone support package which you can use. And the nice thing about it is, in your GoToWebinar chat right now, you will be seeing 2 links which you can use. That's one is a trial for the software. If you want to use it, there is a trial available. Okay, it's a fully functional 7-day trial. You can use it. Else, if you like to go ahead and purchase it before the 4th, okay, that's the 4th of Feb, then you can use the code and you can get that thing off. The link to the store, Egrabber store, is also there, and that brings us to the end of the webinar. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. And Rich, you can take away the questions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for the exciting stuff. Appreciate Clinton and Pete alike. There's been some great info by both of you guys. I'm pretty excited about this, and I'm sure there's going to be some questions coming up from our great audience today. If you have some questions for us, please go ahead and use your questions box or your chat box and let us know your questions, and we'll be taking in some questions now. Okay, so if you do have some questions, this is the right time. Go ahead, ask your questions. We'll take in your questions. All right, let me quickly go ahead and take a look at the questions box and see if we got any questions. Okay, Pete, this one is for you. Okay, Bob Norris asks, my target prospect is a VP of sales in high-tech companies, and they hide behind voicemails. Now what?
All right, run that by me one more time because you broke up in the beginning. I heard IT sales and I heard voicemail.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, let me put on the question again. It says my target prospect is a VP of sales in high-tech company, and they hide behind
VP of sales in high-tech companies. Okay.
Yes, and they hide behind voicemails. Now what to do?
Well, that goes for just about every prospect today. I mean, when you dial a phone, only 4% of the time does a prospect ask. What I do to get around all of that, gatekeepers and get around voicemail, 2 big obstacles to any call. I have used a service called Connect and Sell, connectandsell.com. I've been using their service for years because I was getting blisters on my fingers, dialing the telephone a few hundred times a day, and I found with their service they can dial, I think, 250 to 300 phone numbers an hour. It's not a robo-dialer. They have actual live call center agents that make the call. And when they connect, they do a hot transfer, and I'm live talking to a prospect. So in other words, I can schedule a week's worth of new sales appointments on the calendar in just 1 hour on their system, and that's how I have gotten around voicemail and the gatekeeper screen.
All right, great. Clinton, this one, I think you should take this, okay. How can I use Egrabber tools to more effectively market to LinkedIn and other social prospects?
If you're on LinkedIn and the one thing that you do have is you have a name and a company. So the best thing you can do is catch them on a call or with on a phone number, or you can catch them on an email. So Egrabber products can help by you can point it to a list which has a name and a company, and what it'll do is it'll take that name and a company and find you the email addresses and the phone numbers of those people. So how does it do it? Well, let us know and we can do a personalized demo for you. We can show you how it works on your list.
All right, yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much. Pete, this one is for you. Okay. Do you have any scripts for the transportation industry?
Transportation industry. Yes, I do. Fleet vehicles, okay? Fleet maintenance, fleet vehicles, anything having to do with monitoring the whereabouts of a fleet vehicle or the sale or lease of fleet vehicles. Not sure if that answers your question, but drop me a note and give me some more specifics, and I'll see what I can do to help you. All right. I guess my email is up there on the web somewhere. If not, just sales@dealbuilders.com. Okay, sales@dealbuilders.com. So the person that asked about fleet vehicles, just give me some more specifics, and I can tell you whether or not I have something that can help you.
Okay, great. So I'm sure you can reach out to and you get your questions answered. Okay, here's some more questions. Clinton, this one is for you again. How does this differ from the tool that I already have, Egrabber standard? Does it function in the same way?
The Egrabber standard, you can take a list on the web and you can put it into an Excel file or into a CRM system very easily. But if there is something missing in that list, especially an email address and a phone number, or some company information like revenue, employee size, a LinkedIn ID perhaps, if there's something missing in that list, the Egrabber cannot fill that missing piece. So the account researcher can fill that missing piece, can fill the missing pieces for you. It can also give you the research that you need if you're going to do your research before you actually call the person. And if you need to do it in bulk, in a batch, then yeah, there's another software which can help you. So we can arrange for a demo for that. It's a very easy way to do that. So yes, that's the difference between Egrabber and Account Researcher. Account Researcher fills the missing pieces.
All right, great. Thanks, Clinton. And Clinton, this one is probably you can answer this again. What's the advantage of Egrabber versus a subscription to Salesforce's data.com?
If you have a Salesforce data.com or Hoovers or Jigsaw, whoever, you depend on them to have the right data, okay? And if someone's moved, if someone's shifted a job, if you're a follower of trigger events, then you'd find that they won't have the latest email address and the phone number of those people. You would also find if you're dealing with small, medium companies, there are a lot of contacts which are not there on Jigsaw. A lot of companies which are just not covered in Jigsaw. Yeah, you might have the complete tree of the Fortune 500 in Jigsaw, but most of us are selling to the millions who are not in the Fortune 500. There are million plus. There are 19 million companies, 45 million companies that we sell to. So those kind of contacts, a lot of them you will not find on a list vendor or a list builder. But with the Account Researcher, no matter which company you're looking at, if they have an online presence, you can get their email address, you can get their phone number.
All right, great. Yeah, thanks, Clinton.
Oh, Rich, hang on. Yeah, so I'm also going to throw this one in. The Account Researcher can put this business card directly in your Salesforce.com in case you have it. You just click a button and it adds a record to Salesforce.com. So
okay,
it integrates.
Yeah,
Rich?
great info. All right, thanks. Pete, there's a couple of more questions for you. Okay. Steve asks, what do you think of using a dialer software?
That question is for me, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's for you, Pete.
Okay, all right. What do I think about using a dialer software? All right. Well, it sure beats, getting blisters on your finger dialing it manually. All right. So there's one benefit. Dialing like a robo dialer. I don't know the specifics of what you're using there, but if you're using a call center type outbound dialer, like a predictive dialer, okay, probably not a good thing for a variety of reasons I won't get into here. But there are delays. Let me give you that, all right? With a regular predictive dialer or some sort of a robot dialer, there is a delay because what it's doing is waiting for voice recognition on the far end, okay, the person picking up the phone. So there is a delay, and then after that confirmation of connection, then it's time to speak. So that delay usually tips your hand to the prospect. It triggers their attention filter that it's a telemarketing call. I mean, so you can have the best product in the world, but if it takes even if it's just 3 seconds, you know, which is like an eternity to a prospect to start speaking, that can turn them off. So, you know, I'm not going to throw rocks at them. A dialer, software dialer, you know, is a helpful tool, but you need to really do the research on the downside risks, okay, including any of the delays before you can speak to a prospect once they pick up the phone, okay? That's your biggest concern. That should be your biggest concern, all right? So I would look into that before I would, you know, give somebody my credit card and buy that product.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Pete. Okay, now I get these kind of messages all the time on my phone, and the moment I hear a delay and it connects me to someone, you know, I know it's a sales call, so I'll just, you know, immediately just drop that call and do something else.
The call turns into hello, hello, hello,
yeah.
hello, hello. Right?
That is correct. That is correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that really sets the right first impression you want to have on another person, right? You have a conversation about the topic of hello. Hello? Hello? Is anyone? Hello?
Yeah, I completely understand. You know, do that. I do that many times. In fact, you know, when I hear that tone and then, you know, there's a ringing in the background and someone picks up the call, I know it's going to be a sales pitch or a sales call. So I just immediately drop that call and then move ahead.
Hello?
So,
Hello?
yeah,
Hello?
that's something that you don't want to do,
Mr.
right?
Mr. Ekstrom, Mr. Ekstrom, this is Brian. It's Ekstrom. I'm sorry. Oh boy.
Yeah, that keeps happening. That happens all the time. Okay, Pete, people want you to, you know, give him that information one more time. Okay, what service was that will make connections via voicemails?
That connection is connectandsell.com or connectandsell.com, just how it's spelled. No ampersand, okay? It's connect, A-N-D-S-E-L-L, connectandsell.com.
All right, connect and
If you're interested in more of my personal experiences and successes with Connect and Sell, feel free to give me a call or get in touch with me, sales@dealbuilders.com, and I'll give you an honest assessment of the good, bad, and ugly, and it's been 95% good, thank God.
Oh, okay, 95%. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, you know, nothing's perfect in this world, but look, you know, I could sit back and the system does what it's got to do, and when I get a call from a client, it prompts me, and I get a data splash to my browser so I can see who I'm talking to. And it all happens very quickly. There's no delay, and then as soon as I get the progress tone, and hello, Rich.
Oh,
Deal Builders.
fantastic. Nice, nice.
Makes it easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it does. Pete, here's another one for you, okay? Do you have any examples of cold calls to candidates to convince your passive candidates to consider your company?
What kind of candidates?
It's passive candidates.
Passive candidates. You mean people that aren't looking for a job, but you call them up to see if they might consider moving?
That is correct.
All right, I'm just taking a wild guess at what a passive candidate is. All right, passive candidate. You know, I'm going to say yes because I'm in the staff augmentation end of the business. I have clients that I support. You know, it's just a handful of them, and I've created scripts that recruit consultants to work at a bank or a Fortune 1000 company. So I guess to answer your question, yeah, there's a gold call for recruiters and staff augmentation consultants and things like that. So maybe I should put that down as another gold call. I never thought about that, but anyway. So to answer your question, a quick answer is yes.
All right. Great. Perfect. Clinton, here's another one for you, okay? Other than Salesforce.com, what contact management software can Egrabber pass information into?
any contact management software, because from Egrabber you can export it straight to an Excel file, and every contact management software out there can import an Excel file. So any contact management software.
Oh, all right. Great, great. No, we've been having some exciting questions, now. And if you guys have any more questions, if you need some more information about Egrabber, about Feed, please let us know. We'd be happy to answer your questions. You could reach me direct at rich@egrabber.com. If you need any help with Egrabber or with Feed, just let me know, and I'll be happy to pass on the information. And I've just, again, pasted the trial download links for you. If you need to try out the Egrabber product, go ahead and do that. I'm just pasting in the link one more time on your chat box. So just go ahead, start using the trial. And if you have any comments, if you want to tell folks at Egrabber, something about the tool, if you want to give us some feedback, if you want to try it out, do let us know. We'd be happy to assist you in any way we can. All right, I'm just looking at the questions box one more time to see if we've missed something. We've answered pretty much most of the questions. If you still have any more questions later, my email again, rich@egrabber.com. That's R-I-C-H, rich@egrabber.com. And please do send me an email. We'll be happy to take it up. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in today. Appreciate Clinton and Pete for taking your time off and getting this exciting webinar done. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. And have a good day, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Pete.